It's round 2 in the Championship this weekend. Here are my predictions. Make sure you play along as we go down there in the comments. You can copy and paste the fixtures now from the description. I've got 6 out of 12 correct in round 1. I'll take it. Let me know what your best and worst calls were, though, from last week. Sheffield United versus Millwall. Great start for Millwall last week, in particular from Charlie Cresswell, who scored twice in the win over Stoke. That's put the Lions top of the table. I saw Sheffield United in person on Monday at Watford. Little toothless up top, and they just couldn't cope with the Watford star power up front. I think this one might be tighter on both ends, though. Honours even for me. Draw. Preston versus Hull. Preston created plenty but didn't score in what looked like an open-looking goalless draw with Wigan last weekend. We got our first viewing of the new-look Hull, who won against Bristol City, albeit with a bit of a slippery penalty and a late deflected goal. A win's a win, though. I remember Hull going up to Deepdale early last season and winning convincingly. Can they repeat the trick? Go on then. Away! Burnley versus Luton. I also saw Burnley in the flesh this past Friday, and like many, I was impressed with the way they moved the ball around. This weekend, we find out how much it was Burnley being good and how much it was Huddersfield being bad in that opener. Luton started with a 0-0 against Birmingham. They have bolstered their attack a little bit more this week in terms of recruitment. The Hatters would love to stick 2 fingers up at the Vincent Company loving and hit one of their classic 1-0 away wins, but I'm going to go with that Burnley star power and the Clarets to take it home. Swansea versus Blackburn. Jean-Dal Thomason is 1 for 1, perfect record as Blackburn Rovers manager after they squeaked past QPR with a great strike from Lewis Travis last week. And there's been movement in there at Blackburn recruitment-wise since. I do, however, think this one might be a trickier one for Rovers. I suspected Swansea might not be quite up to speed at Rotherham last week. They need to get creating and making some chances, but I can see that happening this weekend. Home! Reading versus Cardiff. Cardiff went into last week a bit of an unknown quantity, and their new-look side scored a great win over bookies' favourites Norwich. Reading went under at Blackpool with Paul Ince rightly bemoaning their striking instincts, or lack of therein. Let's assume home advantage here adds a bit to the Royals and maybe takes a bit away from Cardiff. I'm going to call this one a draw. Stoke City versus Blackpool. A poor start for Stoke last week. They are bottom of the table and host Blackpool. Stoke found it hard going at Millwall and were pretty much beaten in all departments there. Blackpool won via that early goal against Reading. Michael O'Neill, the Stoke boss, will come under pressure quickly if this winless run continues. I'm backing them to bounce back, but there'll be trouble if they don't. Home! West Brom versus Watford. Once again, I will be there live and in person on Monday night, and I saw the Hornets win against Sheffield United in the flesh this past Monday, and whilst they're obviously not the finished article yet, their front three looked an absolutely fearsome prospect for Championship defences. West Brom hung in there, as Steve Bruce's sides are good at, for a decent point up at Middlesbrough, with the 2-star free agents Jed Wallace and John Swift combining for their goal. Feels close to call, so I'll go down the middle on this one. Draw. Coventry versus Rotherham. Both these two drew on opening day. How will they follow it up? Coventry maybe missed O'Hare a little bit last time, but Gyökeres got them out of jail up at Sunderland. Looked super sharp for a great equaliser. Good performance for Rotherham against Swansea last time out, but I do fancy Coventry might have a little bit more in the tank at home to nick this one. Home! QPR versus Middlesbrough. Frustrating one last week for Borough. Open and forward thinking, but somewhat shades of last season as they did not take their chances and ultimately did not win against West Brom. Mick Beale's QPR lost their opening day encounter at Blackburn, and unlike Middlesbrough, they created worryingly little in terms of chances. Borough do look to be trying to address the scoring issue long term. Can they do it short term? I suspect they can. Away! Bristol City versus Sunderland. Sunderland hit the road for their first away game back in the Championship down at Ashton Gate. The Mackems looking to build on an opening day draw, and Bristol City are looking to bounce back from that opening day defeat, again courtesy of a deflected stoppage time goal at Hull. Look, I'm quite high on Sunderland, but wonder whether this bedding in period might see them just fall short in this one. I'm going to go for Bristol City. Home! Birmingham versus Huddersfield. I will be there on Friday night. Looking forward to it. Check out the vlog as close after full time as I can get it. I went into last week a little bit worried about both of these sides. I had to say Huddersfield had a tough night against Burnley, didn't they? They're going to want to bounce back from that. Birmingham had a bit more of a viable performance drawing away at Luton. We think confidence plays such a big role in football, so I'm going to make that the deciding factor and side with Birmingham. Home! Norwich versus Wigan. Really poor start for Norwich last weekend. Didn't look at it over at Cardiff. They're going to need to be better in this one, as Wigan are counting on continuity for the Championship this season, and they will be ready to punish another sloppy performance if Norwich do put one out. I do, however, think that at home and in front of the Sky cameras, Norwich will get this one right. Home! That is my round 2 predictions complete. Please get yours in via the comments. Remember, at least 12 teams will not win this weekend. So please, for God's sake, don't take anything I've said vaguely personally. I've already seen 2 Championship games this season, so why not click here to see what I thought of Burnley's win at Huddersfield last Friday, and click here to see my thoughts on Watford 1, Sheffield United 0 from this past Monday.